You ask, "Tell me something good." At once the other pauses. They must stop, reflect, and reach for something real. Perhaps they smile, recalling a small joy. Perhaps they share something meaningful. But whatever it is, the conversation has already leapt beyond the ordinary. It is no longer a script. It is alive.
About 46 years ago this month, I was a student at then Loyola College in Baltimore, Maryland. I was a little bit of a strange kid. I was very much into the martial arts. I loved watching Kung Fu. And I got this really interesting desire and interest in Asian culture. And one of the things I had acquired was a taste for green tea. Now, in this day and age, green tea is in everything from, toothpaste to mouthwash, and green tea is easy to find. But back 46 years ago, it was pretty hard to come by green tea. And what I did was I had seen that there were two Asian stores on Greenmount Avenue and York Road, which were the same road. One was in Baltimore County, one was in Baltimore City, and I walked about 3 or 4 miles north and came across this grocery store. It was an Asian grocery store. And I cannot for the life of me remember it, but I know exactly where it is. It's, as of a couple years ago, it was still there. But this very first time I walked in, there was this a little bit older lady. I think it's funny because me being 60 now, she seemed old, and I think she was probably all of 40 or so. But anyway, there was this sweet Asian lady. She was the kind of the typical Asian lady, with the short curly brown hair, perfectly done makeup. Didn't speak English, and when I walked in, she nodded at me, and I nodded at her. And I went around and I found my green tea and found some jasmine tea and a few other things. Probably bought some chopsticks, because in that day I was holding chopsticks in the back of my pocket all the time, and I'd eat the just about anything with chopsticks. Can we say neurodivergent? And anyway, I kept going back there every few months because I needed to. It's one of the few places I could find tea. It was within walking distance. I didn't have any means of driving, so I went there often just to get tea. And every time I walked in, the older lady was behind the counter, and she'd nod at me, and I'd nod back. And I did this for years. Even after I graduated, I would come back every 6 months, at least once a year, and there she was. It's almost as if she never left the counter, other than the fact that she had different clothes on and different jewelry on. And every time I would nod at her, and she'd nod back. And eventually I had my first child, and I took Emily in, and we walked in, and she had a huge smile when she saw me, and she nodded at me several times and smiled so large, and I nodded back. Same thing, kept continuing on for years. I would stop, and I would usually bring my daughter, because I was trying to teach her to appreciate Asian things as well as any other thing that's interesting out there, trying to teach her to taste and smell and experience the whole world, because the whole world is such a beautiful thing to experience. And same thing, brought my son when he was little. I brought the two of them together. There's a 5-year difference between them, so that was always a little fun. And they ended up loving ginger chews, so I would buy them the candied ginger chews and pumpkin candy and little treats and those sorts of things. And so even when my kids got older, I still went there at least once a year, and she'd nod and I'd nod back. And one day I came in, it was Chinese New Year. And I went and put my things on the counter. I know part of it was green tea. By this time, green tea was pretty ubiquitous, but you know what? Real Chinese green tea is still real Chinese green tea versus Lipton's green tea or Bigelow green tea. And as I was checking out, I said, what year is it? And for the Chinese Zodiac, and she said in her broken English, and I'm not making fun of her, I'm just trying to convey how it sounded to me. She said, this year of the tiger. You tiger? I said, no, I think I'm year of the rabbit or year of the snake. She said, no, you tiger. And and we laughed. And from then on, I referred to her as the Tiger Lady. And same thing, years went by and we kept nodding. And one day I came in and she nodded and I nodded, and she got a little bit of a concerned look on her face, but I didn't really think too much about it. She's probably in her 70s now. This is maybe about 10 or 15 years ago. And as I checked out, she said, next time you come, me no here. And I said, oh, are you retiring? She said, no, cancer. Oh, my heart. Then she said something. In next life, when I see you, I see friend. I thought about it. Here we are, a relationship that spans 40 years. And she doesn't know my name, and I don't know her name. Yet, friendship and respect can exist. And even though we just nodded each other, we had watched each other's lives unfold. And for me, I got to watch her life end. And next time I went back, she was actually there still. And she was a lot thinner. She was struggling with cancer, but as I checked out, she says, me old goat, me keep kicking. Next time I went back, she was gone. And there was a young woman, I assume it was her daughter or granddaughter, but she was probably the same age as the Tiger Lady was when I first met her. And I nodded at her. And she nodded back. And so the tradition continues. And so that's something good, is that friendships need no words. Respect can be found in a nod. And hopefully, when I see you in the next life, I will know that you are my friend. Peace, blessings, and in all things, courage, my friends.